Thank you, Bongi, and good morning. In our top stories, at least 27 people injured in a bus accident north of Polokwane, and Tuareg rebels in northern Mali proclaim the independence of a state they call Azawad. At least 27 people have been injured, one seriously, in a bus accident on the N1 just north of Polokwane in Limpopo. The injured have been taken to the Seshego and Polokwane hospitals. Jabulani Baloi reports.
We have lost 2 lives. This happened after a BMW tried to overtake a Kumbi and there was a collision there where 3 people died and 9 were seriously injured and they were taken to Provincetown and Makala Hospital. What we have already observed on our road is that people are driving at a very high speed and there's no patience. We are just making an impassioned plea for people to exercise patience on the road so that everybody arrives alive.
Meanwhile, traffic has come to a standstill at the Kranskop toll plaza on the N1 between Pretoria and Polokwane. Thousands of motorists are heading to various destinations in the Limpopo province for the Easter long weekend. The majority are worshippers heading for the ZCC and St. Agnes Easter pilgrimage in Muria outside Polokwane. Reporter Witness Tiba is on the N1.
Some impatient motorists are driving on the sides of the road, trying to beat the 3 kilometers queue of vehicles, while some truck drivers parked next to the road. Motorists driving from Kranskop filling station are struggling to make their way back to the N1 northbound lanes, a situation that causes chaos at the filling station. Meanwhile, roads and transport authorities say no major accident reported throughout the night. They say a bus has overturned on the N1 North between Makado and Polokwane. No injuries were reported. I am Witness Tiba, SABC News, Kranskop.
On other news, President Jacob Zuma says South Africans must defend the principle of non-racialism to fully enjoy the country's diversity. He was speaking in Newcastle in northern KwaZulu-Natal. The town was last month rocked by reports of an alleged racial incident involving a netball initiation at a local school. Zuma says a strong foundation exists for a non-sexist and non-racial society.
At times, because we have short memories and we take things for granted, the issue of racialism in this country, we've forgotten that the principle of non-racialism is one of the golden principles that has produced this rainbow nation, and is a principle we must adhere to, defend, with whatever we have, so that South Africa indeed enjoys its rainbow nation, its diversity in unity.
Further afield, Tuareg rebels in northern Mali have proclaimed the independence of a state they call Azawad. The National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad made a statement on their website and on France 24 television. The groups call for international recognition. Tuaregs captured 3 towns in the desert region last week. In another development, Al-Qaeda-linked fighters stormed the Algerian consulate in the Safm region yesterday and abducted 7 diplomats. Mali's central government has collapsed after a military coup last month, leading to fears that the once stable gold-producing Northwest African country will become a rogue state. And finally, the United Nations Security Council has given its backing to a deadline next Tuesday for Syrian forces to end their offensive against the opposition. The deadline is part of a peace plan put forward by UN peace envoy Kofi Annan, which Syria's president has agreed to. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, says the Syrian government must now make good on its promises.
The Security Council calls upon the Syrian government to implement urgently and visibly its commitments, as it agreed to do in its communication to the envoy of 1 April, to A, cease troop movements toward population centers, B, cease all use of heavy weapons in such centers, and C, begin pullback of military concentrations in and around population centers,